guys, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Docs. Today we have the pleasure of hosting Arjun, the CEO of AGMD Group of Companies. Thank you so much for joining us today, Arjun.
Pleasure to be here.
So I have obviously a lot of questions, but the first one I'd love to ask is for those that don't know what AGMD Group is, can you give us a little backstory on what you guys do?
Of course. So AGMD Group is a medical and safety supply company. We're based in Brampton, Ontario, but we also have a couple operations in the U.S. and we know we're looking to expand onto the west coast of Canada as well. You know, we specialize in everything safety, so disposable gloves, disposable packaging. We're very strong in packaging as well too. So we have stretch wrap, tape, edge protectors. But we also have the medical side of our business as well too. So that's everything from like needles, syringes, IV bags, vac containers. We have a large plethora of. What makes us unique is, we're a large scale organization when it comes to distribution. So, whether you want 10 cases, 1 pallet, 2 truckloads, we kind of accommodate every part of that.
I love that. Obviously, AGMD Group has expanded into multiple industries. You guys do marketing to PPE, promotional products, logistics. Was the growth intentional on this, or did it all kind of just happen organically?
That's a great question. So actually, believe it or not, the oldest side of our business is the promotional product side, which is Promo Guys. We've been in business basically since 2015. So, we just, as a group, we basically celebrated 11 years. The growth was intentional. I would say some of it was a little bit accidental. Like when we look at AGMD and the growth that we've had over the last 6 years, it did stem from COVID. We are a COVID baby. And what happened was when, the world was looking for PPE, we chose to go a little differently. Instead of kind of the false pretenses of people importing product from China and not getting it, we chose to buy products that were in stock on hand and then distribute it to different organizations. And from there, of course, the business grew and developed and will obviously expand it to where it is today. With SixSide, it was a very intentional birth of this company. And the reason behind us actually creating SixSide was when we were growing from AGMD and from Promo Guys, we were out of space and we were looking for a larger space. So we were going from 4,000 square feet to 25,000 square feet. And
wow.
Yeah, so it was a pretty big jump, of course, at the time. So when we were doing that, I also actually have a background in a bit of logistics. Like I had a lumping company, throughout my last, kind of prior to COVID between 2019. So I obviously understood how warehouses worked, and my VP of operations, Darman, also comes from the logistics background as well. So when we were kind of in the process of looking at a new space, we're like, we obviously don't need this much stuff, but the deal was so great for the location we were going into. So we kind of thought, why don't we get into the storage business? It's kind of what we're doing for ourselves, but let's just do it for other people. And our service is really good to our customers and to our business. Why should we not extend it? And that was the birth of SixSide.
Wow, I love that. Obviously, you wear a lot of hats under the entrepreneurship umbrella, which, hats off to you for sure. You've definitely had your experiences. So obviously, you have a lot of businesses under this AGMD umbrella. Like, can you tell me a little bit, some lessons you might have learned from building one successful business to another?
Yeah, of course. So I think one of the lessons I learned from my father, this is kind of at beginning to be at more of the height of our success or our business was growing. I started to realize I didn't want to, I kind of disengaged a little bit on the sales side, and I disengaged with some kind of key accounts and customers, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'll have one of my sales reps deal with it. I'll have one of my, my other account managers deal with it. And what he told me was, he's like, look, in business, it doesn't matter how big you get, you have to give special attention. You have to give attention to people you want to do business with. And it comes top down. So, from that moment, I realized I'm like, a lot of our growth comes from the teams and comes from the individuals that are part of the organization, but it also comes top down from between myself and my partners. We always make sure that when we want to do business with somebody, they will know we want to do business with them. And, we're always ready to do whatever it takes. So that was a big lesson for me, is that sometimes you got to put your pride aside and your ego aside, and you always have to be hungry for business, because why would you want to do business with somebody that doesn't want to do business with you?
100%. Yeah. I love how humble you are despite all the success that you guys have had. I think that's definitely something.
My wife keeps me very humble. Listen, I still change diapers in the morning. So you know what? I choose to be humble.
That's good. That's a good partner for sure. You always need that in your back. Has running finding businesses in different industries you feel made you a better logistics provider for your customers?
Absolutely. 100%. I would think that because we've run different businesses in all these different industries, from our logistics standpoint, it actually helps to like hone in on our skills for us to become better. So, I'll give you a great example. A lot of logistics companies sometimes will say, you need 48 hours to 72 hours to get a product out. In our case, sometimes we have like a last minute order for like 12 pallets that has to go to North York and it's 4:30. Like we will accommodate that to make that happen because it's a pressing part of our business. It's that service, it's that delivery. So through our companies, we've translated that level of service and expertise to SixSide. And that's really what we're all about, service orientation. We want to make sure that if you have a question about something, we should always be able to answer it.
I love that. I'd also love to hear a little bit maybe about some challenges. So what maybe is one of the biggest challenges you find of scaling multiple businesses simultaneously?
I mean, what I find is that you can't make everyone happy, right? Like in the grand scheme of things, you have to look out for the organization, for your team, your employees, but sometimes you have to fire customers too. You may think that every customer is worth your time or every customer is good for the business, but it's not true. You really, there's an underlying there's an underlying role of respect that goes into every relationship of business, right? So in my eyes, I will always give respect and my teams will always give respect to the people we are doing business with. But at the same time, we expect the respect back, right? And for me, it's like a zero tolerance policy. If someone disrespects our team or our employees, immediately we will not do work with them. It's not fair, right? Because at the same time, we will always respect our employees and our team. So that's a really important side to our business is we want to make sure that you have the right customer base and you're not just saying yes to every type of business.
100%. I love how much you guys hold yourself with such high respect and value for your team as well, not just accepting any kind of behavior or treatment. I think that that's so important. And I don't think everybody does that either. They're just like, business is business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know what? It's one of those things where it's like, you can choose to take somebody on and you can choose to just say, oh, you know what? I got to fill my warehouse up. But, if they want a great example of things is, we have customers that they're like, okay, well, I want to come every day to see our product. There's a major liability side to that. Like, we have different products for different people. It's there's obviously confidentiality. So in those situations, it doesn't matter how much you're going to pay. Like, we don't operate like that because of that underlying respect that we have for all of our customers. We're not going to let one person do it if other people can't, right? That's not how we work.
Right. Curious to know, what gap in the logistics market did you feel that SixSide was uniquely positioned to solve?
Absolutely. So I felt, and it kind of comes back to my experience in the lumping and the container offloading side. I felt that there was a bit of a disconnect from the quality of storage stemming from the initial container offload to the handling of product to the storage of product. I noticed that there was a bit of a chain there, right? So what we really focused and strive to do was make sure that our container offloading side of our business was top notch. We have the best teams. They work at a fast pace. They take quality in all the work they do. Like, SKUs don't get mixed up. And it's important because, when you have the mindset of treating someone else's inventory like your inventory, you realize that every or any kind of mixed product, there's a huge aftermath of inventory issues and costs associated with it. So what we did was we wanted to make sure, one, that the container offloading process was something that we controlled, and we did an absolutely phenomenal job, from the stretch wrap we used to the edge protectors to even the quality of pallets we used was one part. The second part was how was the inventory handled, right? So for us, we've got expert forklift operators that, we actually do a yearly training with them, and we want to make sure that they're, of course, becoming better and better as a forklift operator at the same time. So we want to make sure that when they're stacking product, it's organized well, and we are able to work very nimbly because our system, including our WMS system, has full traceability and trackability for all of our customers. So if someone's, I've heard this in the past where for lot tracing, because we deal with a lot of food companies, first in, first out's a very important part. There's no point in you pulling out a skid that has a year and a half of expiry when you have a pallet that has 4 months of expiry, right? So our lot tracing is a very important part of our business, and we also make sure that we track all of those things in our WMS. So that's been another part of our success, is making sure that we have that accountability to the customers, that your inventory is our inventory, and we're always going to do what's in your best interest.
So with the services that you guys provide, what type of customers are the best fit for you guys?
So we're really looking for customers that don't want to focus on their sales and not on their operations. We want to be the company that handles the operation. So just to give you the full extensive, like kind of plethora of what we offer, from the initial side of even shipping the container overseas, we have great partners that we work with, so we can always deliver amazing rates. From when it gets to the terminal, whether it's in Ontario or New Jersey, New York, or Calgary, we have great drayage rates, so we can actually move the container to our facility. Finally, the container offloading side of our business is really strong, as I'd mentioned before. So offloading the containers, wrapping the skids properly, making sure everything's packaged as per your requirements is one part. Then we would want to make sure that the storage is there so we can handle the storage. The shipping side of it, which is also an important part. So if orders have to get shipped, we want to make sure that we can handle those sides of that business too. One thing with us, of course, is that we do prefer, and if you were to ask, can we do everything? I'll tell you the truth. We're not the best at picking and packing. We can do it, and we're okay to do it. But our preference is obviously to have pallet and it's the easiest for you, easiest for us, cost effective. But we can always do it at the end of the day. So we want a customer that wants to endorse all of the different aspects of SixSide and basically leave us as your one-stop shop to handle your business.
I love that. What differentiates SixSide from other 3PLs in such a competitive industry?
I would say, honestly, I would say the commitment to our customers is a big part of it. So we want to make sure that we are there for them every single step of the way. I think our quality of service is an important part. Now, I know a lot of people say quality of service is important, but we really live and breathe it. There have been times on Christmas Eve that we've had, people offloading containers, and New Year's Day. We are committed in that sense. And it's very rarely where we will turn down work. And if it's turning down work, it's obviously with well above notice, right? But last minute things, we are great in the last minute side of things, where if, let's say, somebody's like, I need to drop off 30 pallets and I need to pick it up tomorrow by 7 a.m., we'll figure it out and we're going to make it happen for you. So that's kind of where I would say our specialty is. It's our adaptability, it's our service.
I have to say, I've toured their warehouse when we were in Toronto a few weeks back for the CITT golf tournament, and you guys have one of the coolest office/warehouse I think I've ever seen in a very long time. I think that, for a customer who's kind of looking, one, for the support that you guys offer, but also just for that relationship, cool, absolutely, modern, I think that you guys have it all going for you in that sense, and honestly, super sick. It kind of touches into my other question, but obviously you guys have a very dedicated team, and I saw that when we had sat down and we were talking. Your entire team showed up, your whole team was there taking notes, listening. How do you build a culture that stays customer focused while the business is continuing to grow?
That's a great question. I'll tell you where that comes from. It does definitely come from the top down. So as CEOs, myself and my partners, what we really strive to do is make sure that our team knows how important the right customer is for our business. So we treat it with utmost respect, whether it's just a small gesture of making a coffee for someone to, giving them a tour. We want to make sure that they have that experience, right? And our team also aligns with that too, because what's really important is them being educated on how our business is growing. We've grown, of course, into the 7 figures over the last couple years, and they've been a part of that growth. What's more extensive to that is even the location growth. So going back to my story before, we went from 4,000 square feet to 25,000 square feet. From 25,000 square feet, we went to 35,000 square feet, from 35 to 50, from 50 to 65. And then when we took on this position, it started at 80,000 square feet, and now we occupy 150,000. So wow, you can see the growth, right? And the growth for us is very important. It's very strategic. And being a part of that growth, I think, is an important factor for them, because that's kind of what intrinsically motivates people to come to work and perform. Yeah.
I love that. I really love that. Like I said, I think you guys have one of the coolest cultures I've seen. And I just love how everybody just it's like they're talking about their business. And I think that that's so special. You can really tell that everybody has such a place in their heart for it. And I think that that definitely shapes the success that you guys have had because you have such a supporting team. And I think that's one of the most important things. I'd love to hear, because obviously when I toured your warehouse, you guys had so many different projects and clients going on. And I think that, you know, there really isn't probably a project that you guys couldn't have more or less handled when it comes to the type of industries that you work with. What was maybe a customer challenge or product that you got that seemed pretty much impossible at first, but maybe became one of your biggest success stories?
Yeah, that's a great one. So I would say kind of a service that's a little bit slept on our side that we do very, very well is pre-packaging and rekitting. So I'll give you an example of something. We had a customer that basically had shipments that had to go out to different locations, but it was basically a bunch of it was a bunch of promotional items for, a big account, and it was all coming to our location. And we basically needed to offload obviously the whole container. And then we had to open and segregate all of the different types of items there was. There was like a bag, a water bottle, a notebook, some of these different items branded with the customer's information. And we had to ship it to 600 different locations within 48 hours. So it was a pretty project because there's a lot of detail orientation. Of course, there's a certain skill set. There was actually approvals that had to be done in place too. So one side of it was basically making sure the customer approved, the type of presentation everything was. The other part of it was making sure that the packaging inside the box that was being shipped was another. So what we had done on our side was we made sure that that whole process was handheld, which is a very important side of that business. So we wanted to make sure that from the beginning of when the container came in, pictures were taken, the process was documented, our team takes pride in that, right? Because it's a last project. It's not like we had 3 weeks to do it. We had like 48 hours. And a lot of people thought it was impossible. But we said, no, we're going to make it possible. And because of that, we've really figured out the repacking, rekitting, and this portion of fulfillment. We enjoy this type of thing because it's like turning something into nothing. Nothing into something, I should say. So yeah, that was a pretty great project we did.
That's actually insane. Wow. 600 different places in 48 hours. I don't even want to know how you guys did that. If that doesn't prove that you have a committed team, man, I have no idea.
I'll be honest with you. I was also packaging some of it myself. So
that's 600 places. Yeah. I mean, I would think so. My goodness. I think it's like all hands on deck with a project like that. It's my goodness. I'd love to know, because obviously you guys started like in COVID for some of your businesses and everything has evolved a lot since then. Are there any trends kind of with customers that you're seeing today that maybe were just kind of uncommon a few years ago that now a lot of customers are asking for?
Of course. So I think, in a lot of the industries we work with is that, we've seen the growth of the companies that we've dealt with, right? And our notion always is, how do we support that growth? It's very inconvenient for you to have a great relationship with SixSide, but then SixSide runs out of space. So we've always tried to make sure and measure how we're doing every year. We actually do review meetings with all of them as well to see where we can improve and kind of what your future plans are at the same time, right? So for us, one important factor was always being informed about what growth will need to ensure that our customers know that we are the providers for them and we'll support them. Without them even asking, we'll accommodate your space and we'll figure out how to take more space if we need to, because we want to make sure that you're handled by us. If you enjoy being handled by us, there's no reason why you should leave. And we're always going to do whatever it takes to make sure that it stays like that.
I love that. I love how committed you guys are, relationship focused. I honestly, I really think that streams to the success of multiple businesses. I think that some people might have potentially found that risky. You guys touch so many different markets, and I think that you guys have just proved that misconception wrong on so many levels. So I definitely wish you guys so much success moving forward. I think that it's really just the beginning for you guys in such an untapped market. And just your name is super cool too, like SixSide Logistics. Like maybe call me like a little bit too Gen Z, I don't know, but like I'm thinking
it did inspire. There's actually a part of you know what, there's a little bit of Drake nuance in there as well too.
For sure. Yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but we were listening to him like when we were kind of trying to like think of the name, and he says this line, 6 sides trying to provide for me. So we were like, SixSide Logistics. We cover the 6 sides of your, your needs, and our logo is kind of cool because it covers, all the different sides as well.
I think it's so cool, especially now, like in the world we live in, there's so many like trendy e-commerce brands, food and bev, like everything coming out with these like hip CEOs. And I think that, I don't know if I'd be like Gen Z or millennial. I don't know, whatever. I never thought about that. But all I'm saying is that I felt very hipster knowing that I had a feeling where that name came from. And I was like, does that make me cool? I don't know. But I have a feeling that
it makes us cool, because that's what we want more than anything.
For sure. I'd be like, I think any cool trendy CEO will hear that name and they're going to be like, I think that's freaking awesome. And hopefully that plays into it for sure. That plus the vibe you guys have at the office and, the office dog. I think that plays into everything. I will totally add a photo of the office dog.
I should even bring the office dog is here with me today. Cushy, you want to come say hi? Come on.
Guys, this is the coolest dog, the sweetest dog.
This is Cushy over here.
Oh my goodness. We came for a meeting and this dog was just all over the entire office. Oh, the sweetest thing. Our girl in marketing was talking about this dog for like literally weeks after, being like, guys, I should have taken this dog home with me. Like, this is
no, she's a great dog.
Office mascot for sure.
Exactly.
Obviously, like being in so much entrepreneurship yourself, like I always like to ask this question to people who touch on so many things. What is maybe like the best piece of business advice that you've received that has helped implement into your success now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what's the best piece of advice I feel I've received? I've received it, but I've kind of more or less created it myself. Is that
okay?
My opinion is the day you become complacent is the day your business will start to die, right? You have to be focused on growth, and growth doesn't always have to be higher sales. Growth could also just, having a tighter operation, having better like SOPs and everything. So you have to always be focused on growth and like never becoming complacent. And for me, I've also been in sales for over 20 years. You have to be very target focused. I think one thing that's very important is, and this is a piece of advice I got from my family and my father, was that if you ever have a goal, you have to say it out loud and you have to say it to people. If you ever have a business, for example, if there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are coming out there that want to start their business, the first step that you should do is you should be able to speak to at least 25 people and say what that business is and what your idea is, what's your competitive advantage and why you're going to be different and why you're going to be successful. Every time we've started a company, that was a very important factor. And I still practice it every single day. We're going to do this. This is the reason why. It flows within our group. And while we were able to do that, it actually, you believe it more. You believe it more yourself. And that actually allows you to put those dreams into an action to actually create a reality. That's the important part. You have to verbalize what you want. Yeah,
100%. Honestly, I think there's so much that people can learn. If you haven't written a book, I think that you would write a great business book. I don't know. I think that like people have trouble with just opening one business, one company, the way that you guys have so many under the AGMD umbrella that are all successful, like a test from something for sure. So if you haven't written a book, I would do that before retirement for sure. A few little fun questions I have before we kind of get into the closing question, but if you're able to tell me what is maybe the most unusual product you've ever had to move or store?
A most unusual product. Like we've done mattresses before for people. I've had like old files for people. Actually, one was a unique item. It was a COVID item. Basically, it was a backpack that you could sanitize a room with. So it was like a backpack with like a little hose that you could sanitize some stuff with. So that was a really unique item that we've also done in the past. We've done vacuums, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different.
I love that you guys touch on so many different things. I wonder with the COVID backpack what that person's up to today, because I think so many business ideas about in COVID.
Well, we're sitting in our warehouse, so if you want one, I can give you one. Probably I can.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with the hose backpack. Maybe living in an office full of boys, it might help sanitize everything. But like, for you, what do you find? I know I had asked you this question when we toured the warehouse, and I think you had a really good answer for it. So I would like to share it on this podcast just in case people don't see the video that we will post from when we toured your warehouse. But What do you find is the biggest misconception people have about logistics?
I think the biggest misconception that people have is that it's not simple. Like it's a complicated process. It's a complicated thing to to get your product in the right time, or for your skids to be correct, or for it to be stacked correctly, and for your products not to be damaged. Like sometimes people have this insinuation that, oh my God, I'm dealing with a logistics company. Like I'm going to be charged for so many different things, right? What we've kind of believed is, and it's also the same thing, because on the other side of our business, we deal with so many different vendors on AGMD. So the bills should be very simple, right? You should know what you're paying for. You should know the date of your billing, and you should know the amount, right? All of a sudden, when you get hit with whether it's an in and out charge, or it's like a order processing charge, or a rush fee or something like that, a lot of times people don't get communicated that. And I genuinely feel it's not fair. So for us, we're very open and transparent. Like, I don't know if we're always going to be the most cost-effective option, but what I will tell you is we're never going to pull the wool over your eyes. We're going to let you know, like, this is what you're paying for, this is what you're getting. And it's always like that every single time. So a misconception is that some people feel that logistics is such a, it's for a lot of people, it's something that they're scared of getting into, or working with a logistics company, because they don't know how the billing is going to be, and they don't know how the service is going to be. So, hopefully the company grows, we get to show more people why SixSide will prevent you from having that fear.
I love that. Also, I have to say that you guys have one of the coolest probably marketing teams that I've seen in a long time for warehousing. Like when I came for the warehouse tour, there was people filming marketing videos outside, pouring flour on someone's head, and I was trying to understand what was going on. Yeah. And what'd you say? Sorry.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, I know. Like they're very definitely creative.
So I have to say, I think marketing is some things that people really struggle with in the industry, because everyone's very good at what they do, but it's so hard to market a warehouse. I always say it's not like marketing a pair of shoes or something. It's not as easy as it looks. And when I came, you guys had a full film production team. It was like a whole thing. And I think that goes obviously into that cool trendy thing that you guys have going for you guys. Why do you think marketing is so important in this industry? And what are some things that you guys are doing to try and make yourself stand out from others in the industry?
Of course. So here's a great point, right? Like logistics is not sexy. Nobody wants to talk about logistics. It's just like the ugly stepsister, for example. It's like people don't like to talk about it, right? For us, we enjoy what we do. We love what we do here. So very similarly, we just think of fun ways for us to communicate that. Like all we're doing is telling stories and communicating about what our business is and what we've actually done. Like we're never saying something that we haven't done. We're telling people that hey, you may have this problem, or you actually may know somebody that has this problem. If this one video can connect you in some way, and you can, rather refer yourself or refer somebody else, and you actually get that alleviation of service and stress, I mean, that's our goal. That's what we want out of it. So that's why marketing for us is very important. And while we continue to educate people on our business, we want to make sure that we can, we can actually talk about SixSide and why we're different. And I'll also tell you my other opinion is, I feel a lot of the logistics companies out there, they're very, they are older, and whether it's a second or third generation business, and there's a lot of respect for businesses that have been in the industry for so long, but it's always nice to have some competition. In my opinion, I feel competition keeps everybody honest, and that's what the goal is to do. Is we want to keep people honest. And if somebody's being overcharged on storage, well, you know what? So what? We're going to come in at a better quote, and you're going to lose the business at the end of the day. So I think that's an important factor.
I think that's the only way to win in this industry, to be honest, especially with such a social media driven world nowadays. I think that if you're not putting yourself out there in different ways that are not just like the AI generated posters, I don't know how people expect to get all the new businesses that are launching now. I definitely think that there's, old businesses are successful for a reason, but I think to make yourself stand out as a growing logistics business, you need to do that for sure. And I think that you guys are really hitting the nail on the head with that. So that's really cool. You guys are doing something right for sure. Last two questions, I promise, but if cool question I like to ask sometimes, and especially with you guys, I think it'd be a cool question. But if someone, client or anybody, shadowed your team for a day, what do you think would surprise them the most?
That's a good question. What would they learn from shadowing our team for the day?
Yeah, what would surprise them the most from shadowing your team for a day?
I think it's I think it's our due diligence. I think that's where really like we kind of stand out. It's a simple example of something like a container may come and there might be like maybe one damage case out of, let's say, 2,000, right? One damage case. Sometimes people will just be like, it's one case. Let me just throw it on the skid. Who cares, right? Our team will document that one case. They will move it aside. They will see what SKU it was a part of. They will short it on the receiving slip and they'll write one case damage. The due diligence of our team is very extensive, and it comes down to that underlying philosophy where we treat your inventory like our inventory. If I brought in a container of something and there was one product that was damaged, to me, I paid for something, I should receive it in full. So we kind of follow that mindset, and I think that's kind of what people would be surprised about, is that like it's something so small. The other thing is just cleanliness, right? Like one thing I respect about my team and I love about them is that it's so easy as a warehouse worker to just see some garbage on the floor and just walk past it. It's not my job. I actually want a cleaner here at the same time. Let him do it, right? But what I love about them is that they'll see that piece of garbage and then they'll throw it. I'm the same way. My partners are the same way. Like we respect where we work, right? And that's an important. A part of respect is keeping it clean. So that's the other thing that I think people will notice about us.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that when I came. I think that, they're just, everybody's so respectful and carries himself with the same pride as you and your partners do. So as you're saying, it definitely stems from up above. And I think that definitely makes the mark on how the entire company works. Because if the president and the CEO are acting a certain way, well, the whole rest of the people are going to act that way too. So I think that it just stems from it. The amount of respect you have for your team will definitely correlate to the respect they have for your business. I definitely agree with that. As a closing question, I'd love to ask you, I know we kind of covered this a few times, but if there's anybody listening who's interested in AGMD Group or SixSide Logistics, what would be one takeaway that you'd like them to remember as to why they should choose you as a partner?
So I want to talk about AGMD Group, like the group of companies, right? It's very rare you're going to have a that's so extensive and so different at the same time, right? So like, if I were to, let's give you an example of a food manufacturer, right? As a food manufacturer, you may need some of the products that we sell. No problem, right? We can provide those as an item to you through maybe one of our distributors or something like that. Then you may need some help with storage. Well, you know what? We've got SixSide Logistics for that. We can help you with that. And then finally, you might need some promotional products. Well, guess what? We have promo guys for that too. So really what I want people to know about is that like you're not really working with one company when you're working with the group. You have the ability to take advantage of all the products and services that we offer. So whether it's a PPE or safety supplies, industrial supplies, whether it's storage, shipping, repack, container offloading, whether it's custom apparel or hats or trade show items, we're there for you every single step of the way. And the other very unique thing about our teams is that we all treat business the exact same way with the utmost respect. And we're always going to give you the respect because we want to do business with you. What I would leave for somebody is that do business with somebody that wants to do business with you, not because you need to do business with them, because they want to do business with you. And that's what AGMD Group is about.
I love that. That was an amazing ending. I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. And for anyone listening, I encourage you to go look at their profile on WearMatch, go visit their website. We'll put all the contact info in the link in the bio. I definitely think it's a partner that you won't regret choosing. So thank you so much for being on the podcast and stay tuned for the next episode.